In the interest of time, let me just quickly jump into my slides. Um, so one of the things that I've been very closely involved in last almost 25 years is the global mobility of students at university level. In my previous roles as an international student myself, during my PhD at NTU in Singapore, and then working as a faculty member in Hong Kong as an associate dean of internationalization. And then after that, for the last 12 years here at Curtin, I've been very closely involved in dealing with matters related to internationalization, global campuses, uh, looking at student inbound, outbound exchange programs. So I thought today I'll share some of the recent trends and some of the challenges and opportunities there. Obviously, we heard from the previous speakers how India is now one of the largest. It has always been one of the largest, higher education spaces in the world, and I'm really excited to hear some of the new developments. Um, so this is nothing new to us. The current number is roughly around 7 million international students currently globally, and that number has tripled in the last 25 years. So, and it's expected to reach around 8 million. Uh, Maybe not a huge number by Indian standards. I heard that we have 45 million or 4.5 crore higher education students. Uh, but I mean, the global trend is upward and onwards. These are the three countries who currently are the main targets for the students. What is driving this is essentially, one is obviously quality education, career opportunities, personal growth, and migration. Obviously, tends to be one of the key motivators for not just students from India but from around the world. It does have a huge economic impact on the target countries. In Australia, for example, there are ongoing debates on international students and their role in the local economy. In the parliament every other week, the Australian education minister has been in India, I think, a few times. They're probably coming again with a delegation. There are universities planning to set up campuses globally. So the whole idea is that when you bring in these young minds from around the world, that whole diversity, and the cross-cultural interaction does tend to result into innovation. Of course, it does also bring some challenges, and one of the key challenges that I've seen in the last 25 years is the overall quality and motivation of international students, which affects not just their employability. I should have said it also affects their, the academic outcomes. Their ability to complete and continue on is significant. So I thought I'll just focus on that aspect today, the issues around student quality and motivation, and how assessments, especially the new trends in assessments, can help us address some of those challenges. So, I mean, these are well known, so I'll not probably dwell too much on that. Global student mobility, both inbound and outbound, brings greater academic and research collaborations. It does create cultural exchange, better understanding about each other's cultures. The host countries obviously has huge economic benefits besides the tuition fee, which the international students generally pay twice, thrice, or maybe sometimes even more than the local students, some of whom are subsidized, but the international students do bring in a huge amount of revenue to universities. Uh, Part-time work, a lot of students do part-time work. They do the kind of jobs that some of the locals may not want to do. So in restaurants, service industry, etc. And of course, those who hang around do tend to then get into a post-study employment situation. It does help build their skills, global competitiveness. So one of the benefits of international students is the impact on the local students. So I've seen this in Singapore, Hong Kong, in Europe, and also in Australia, is the impact that interacting with an international student can have on a local student, their own global mindset. Most of these local students have never lived anywhere else except for their own country. And when they start interacting with the international students, they do learn about other cultures, and they realize that it's not that the rest of the world is lacking in something. It's just that it's a matter of opportunities and being able to fulfill their their dreams. So in terms of the challenges, some of the challenges that we face every day in classrooms here when we try to work with international students, they come from very diverse educational systems. There are language barriers. Sometimes we find that there are, lacking in foundational knowledge. So they have grades. They have sufficient grades to get into international universities, but they don't have the competencies. And I think this is what the previous speakers have touched upon. The kind of competencies they require to be a good learner in a new environment is sometimes lacking. Um, and this is true. Many of these students, they come abroad looking for immigration. They pick up jobs which are part-time, sometimes multiple jobs because they've taken loans back home. And all of that has an impact on their engagement, ability to attend classes, and their overall, learning experience. Again, discrepancies in various educational standards does tend to, lead to some confusion about their ability to perform. So again, the standardized tests and scores help that to some extent, but as I said earlier, there are competencies that are not measured by those tests. So that's a huge weakness of the current tests such as SAT, GMAT, and various other tests that we have. Yeah, this is something we don't know what we can do about it, but there are obviously in many geographies, there are agents and there are institutions who try to push a number of students abroad, and many of them, and then eventually are not able to keep up with the rigor that is required. So I thought I'll talk about these the readiness-based admissions that is currently in the news, and I think some of the previous speakers have alluded to that. So basically, what these admissions as in admission tests, what they move is they do is they move beyond the traditional test scores, and they try to look at the overall holistic preparedness for higher education, especially in an international context. Uh, but what I'm going to share now in the next few slides also applies to the Indian context, which is very, very multicultural. I grew up in New Delhi, but then I studied, at IIM Bangalore, and then, I worked all over India in almost every major city for almost 15 years. And I can relate to, it's almost like being in a foreign country sometimes, when you're in a part of India where you probably don't know the local language, you don't know the local culture, etc. So most of this will actually apply to even the Indian context. So what these readiness-based admissions assessments do, they look at it in a holistic sense. So they look at the not just the academic potential, but critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability, cross-cultural communication skills of the students. They also look very closely at the students' real interest in terms of what they wish to do, and not just following the trend, following what is hot today, but then realizing after 1 year that maybe that is not something that is suitable for them. And then comes the whole idea about language and communication. And I've heard from some of my colleagues that they have students in their class who can barely speak or write in English, but then they have an IELTS test score of 7 or above. So there is something that is missing somewhere. The students are able to crack those exams for whatever reasons, with some preparation, etc. But they are not able to have a genuine, meaningful conversation in that language. So clearly, there are gaps that need to be addressed. So the idea of a readiness-based, admission or assessment is it helps us as international universities, and I'm sure it'll apply to the Indian universities also, to admit students who are genuinely prepared, they are ready, they are motivated, which will then lead to obviously higher retention rates, better academic outcomes, higher quality of graduates, reduce the mismatch between their expectations and what the institution can offer, promote transparency and fairness in terms of the student quality, what was promised versus what was delivered, and it'll help the institutions build their reputation for excellence. So it's almost like the quality of your output is dependent on the quality of the input. Having been in higher education for 25 years, yes, there is a lot that we can do to the students who come in. We have 3 years or 4 years to work with them and shape them and polish them. but the initial material, has to be there. So if the students are not really prepared to get into a learning experience which will challenge them, which will push them, and make them really, come through the fire, come out shining, then obviously the outcomes will not be as expected. So some of the other benefits of these kind of assessments would be that we'll be able to build more confidence in joint programs, collaborative projects, etc. So one of the examples that I can state here is my university at Curtin. We have very successful joint PhD programs with the IITs and various other institutions in India. I have personally graduated 5 students already in the last 3-4 years, and it has been an absolute fantastic experience. I mean, those students came from IITs and to Curtin, and they were able to energize our program, and they pushed our students to excel because of their hard work, because of their talent. They were presenting and winning awards, the best PhD awards, etc. So in a sense, I mean, that interaction actually helped us at Curtin more than probably it helped the IITs. Promoting faculty and student exchange programs, I think it'll level the playing field somewhat if we have more trust in each other with these competency-based assessments. There'll be more trust in each other's ability to provide our students with a meaningful learning experience. Building up a global talent pipeline, I think India has obviously contributed to a great deal to the global talent pool, and will continue to do so. And many of us also come back and contribute to the Indian higher education sector through visits. I'm in India at least 3 or 4 times a year, working with my partner institutions and my PhD students who are now working at various institutions in India. And I think it was good that we had, very senior, government officials, both past and present, as the previous speakers. Nothing can work unless we have suitable, appropriate policies and frameworks in place. So it is really heartening to see that a great deal of effort is going into developing the right policies and making sure that those policies then be implemented by the institutions. So I'm really happy to be a part of this event. In terms of implementation, I think one of the key, obviously, next step would be to develop these comprehensive assessment frameworks, whether it's for Cs or anything else that is on board. I would highly encourage the educational institution representatives who are attending today to be part of that exercise, to help us co-create these new tools, new frameworks, so that, and also employers, not just the educators, but we need to have the employers also on board. It's very important that the universities, both in India and abroad, they invest in training their admission staff so that they can really do very deep assessments of the students' capabilities. And it's not that we want to keep students out or we do not want to offer admissions to deserving students. The idea is that we want the best possible match between the students and the universities, so that there's no disappointment at either end. Work with the international partners. So the authorities in various countries, they're very much interested in ensuring that they get the best students, and I think that's an opportunity for India. We could be the global leader in developing and launching these assessments, the new assessment frameworks. And as the previous speakers suggested, with the AI coming in and LLM and other tools, the ability that we have in India of dealing with multiple languages, multiple cultures, and and that can be one of our biggest strengths. We could develop tools and assessments which can be used across different languages in the world. So technology and the adaptive and the evaluative frameworks that again PPC talked about and others. This is the future. This is the future of assessments, and I think if we can all come on board, that would be really useful. So, in conclusion, I think global mobility of students is a powerful force for progress. It helps us build a highly skilled and culturally competent global workforce, as has been evidenced. And if we can address those concerns about the student quality and motivation through these readiness-based assessments, then to ensure that we maintain the integrity and the value of international education. Again, it's not just international, but also any education. Building stronger bridges of trust between the institutions and different countries, and obviously helping to foster a collaborative global academic community. So yeah, in the end, this is not just to benefit the institutions, but also the students, and we all can get together and create new knowledge. And India wants to be a developed country by 2047. I think it's not just an economic outcome, but it's also we want to be lead the knowledge creation in the world as we used to do maybe 2,000 years ago. So with that, I will close, and thanks again for the opportunity to share my thoughts. Thanks, Satya.